Welcome into the Sportsocracy. Tank Spencer, Jeremy Greene's here as well in the Wicked Weed studio, wickedweedbrewing.com. Drink different. Welcome into the program, and it is time for the Week 16 Power Rankings. And this will be the last one that we do in 2021 because we're thankfully getting some time off next week.
Thank Jehovah. I may be dead by the end of it. But
So we got to get the New Year's resolutions in. This is going to be the resolutions that each and every team in the NFL needs to make for the coming year. And yes, we have been as cheeky and douchey as possible with
because
setting
that's
up
what
all
New Year's
of
resolutions
they
are. I'm going to take better care of myself.
Right.
3 weeks later, a whole pint of Haagen-Dazs just to the throat.
Right. I'm going to take time to find my center.
Myself. I'm going to find myself.
Right.
I found you. You're standing right here, and you're douchier than ever.
Right. So let's get it started. At number 32, the Jacksonville Jaguars. In 2022, we will settle down with the right one. The Jaguars need to find the right hire to take over this team.
And they need the boring librarian girl, too. You just had the hot girl that put cigarettes out on your couch.
Yep.
Brandy, Tiffany, Mandy, Candy. A lot of Andys.
Andys.
It's a lot of Andys.
Yeah.
You
Love you,
just
babe.
had an Andy.
Yeah. They need to find that steady person to settle down with that's going to lead them into the next chapter of their lives. And the more and more I
we
say,
already know it is.
who?
It's Byron Leftwich. That's
Okay.
the right answer.
Okay.
He brings over a litany of those Tampa Bay lower level coaches, gives them a shot with the Jaguars, and you roll on. That's the right answer because that's a guy that wants to be there, has an attachment to the franchise. And I'll be honest with you, I think Mike Tannenbaum's off his fucking rocker that this is a playoff team in a year.
No, it's not.
He compared this to Steve Kerr when he took over the Warriors. And I immediately went, tell me you were a terrible GM without telling me you were a terrible GM.
Right.
For my
You
team.
have no self-awareness in that. I still feel like Jim Caldwell wouldn't be a bad idea. A retread, guy with some NFL experience.
That's where you have to be careful with Jacksonville because you have to get the fan base motivated without going overboard. Because you went overboard last time. Don't go overboard this time. Byron Leftwich, I firmly believe that is the sweet girl that you can settle down with and have a whole mess of little football babies.
The next team up, number 31, the Houston Texans. In 2022, we will resolve to know your worth, know your quarterback's worth. You cannot settle for less than the farm for Deshaun Watson.
No. You've waited this long. You basically shot this year into the air.
Mm-hmm.
Now you've got search warrants being served and things like that. I firmly believe that you wouldn't have made it this long if there wasn't some substance to this. So I don't know what's going to happen with him, but I can tell you cannot go into another year with him on your roster.
No.
No matter what I don't care what that means. You have to go into the new generation, leaving the old one in the past.
But there again, you cannot settle for less than he is worth.
Yes,
you have to
you've
regain
gone way too long.
Yeah, you have to regain draft capital. You have to add talent to this team because it is awful.
It's bereft of talent. I mean, Davis Mills he's fine. He has the longest neck I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm. Longer than Mike Glennon.
Yes. The two of them beside each other look like two peni right beside each other. But you don't have much. You got Brandon Cooks that I think is a piece. He seems to fit in Houston.
Mm-hmm.
I think David Culley comes back. I've always said that I believe in the front office of this team. You just have to get away from the Deshaun Watson thing.
Yeah.
And now it's time to do that.
Yeah. Now you have to move on. You have to be willing to move on. And you also have to get what he is worth. The Detroit Lions are at number 30 this week. And in 2022, we must focus on self-improvement. Because, Jeremy, you have said time and time again, this is a team that just absolutely lacks talent. They have pieces. They have Penei Sewell. They have, Amon-Ra St. Brown has come around. DeAndre Swift has a bright future in this league.
I really like the Reynolds kid that's playing running back for them. I think that's a late one of those undrafted free agent kind of finds that the Rams were just notorious for.
Mm-hmm.
That's what the Lions are going to have to be. because you have a talent deficiency to damn near every team you play. However, you play much harder than the Jaguars do, and you play much harder than the Texans do. So I feel like I could argue the Lions are in better shape than two or three of the teams that are going to be in front of them. They're just so untalented that I can't get over that. It's like the Jets. The Jets have exponentially more talent than them. The Lions play harder than they do, but if they played each other, both of them played, let's say, a B game, Jets win.
Yeah.
I have to emphasize this enough. I don't think you have to chase a quarterback. I think Jared Goff is good enough to keep doing this. The dead money goes through the floor next year, and that, to me, is the best. That's the best path for the Lions.
Yeah.
Don't pay some big-ass penalty to get rid of Jared Goff to bring in Malik Willis.
Right.
Draft Aiden Hutchinson at 2, which is where I think they're going to pick. That's a Detroit kind of guy, and just keep building that team in the model of Dan Campbell.
Yep. Build it piece by piece. Be the kneecap chewers. Be the thing that Dan Campbell said you were going to be when he got there. Was we were going to be this tough, gritty team that is just going to slowly build. And I think the family, the owners, the family that owns them would be more than happy.
The Fords.
Yeah. They will be more than happy to wait on a winner.
Well, I mean, I don't care. Bill Walsh and Bill Belichick couldn't turn this team into a winner in a year. But I do think you hit some pieces last year in the draft. You've got a lot of draft capital this year.
Yes.
Just work on fixing yourself.
The New York Jets at number 29.
My fighting J-E-S-T, jest.
So what are the Jets going to do in 2022, Jeremy?
Be fiscally responsible. You have all the draft capital. This team's already young. I want you to think about the free agent spending spree that we went into a few years ago where you got Le'Veon Bell, C.J. Mosley, blah, 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 blah.
Yep.
How many of those worked out?
One. C.J. Mosley.
You did it. C.J. Mosley's been terrible. You did this with Gerard Davis and LaMarcus Joyner and Corey Davis. Not a lot of those have worked out either. I think Corey Davis will be fine. He's been hurt this year. But the thing this team has to do, you have to be financially responsible. You got to stop every second year going deep diving into free agency and spending yourself into hell. Joe Douglas has served to be a reasonably good drafter. I'm not going to say he's great. I think he's hit on some of these draft picks. He hasn't been great spending free agency dollars. So, okay, stop. Stop doing it. I keep hearing Devontae Adams. Don't do that.
Yeah. Build through the draft. Trust your process. Trust your front office to be able to identify where you can get the values from. It's pretty sound advice. Be fiscally responsible, New York Jets. The New York Giants at number 28. Be willing to part without sorrow. And this is from the top on through the roster for me. This is David Gettleman. Bye-bye. That's already done. They've already said he's going to be gone at the end of the year. Joe Judge, if you get a GM that absolutely demands a new coach and he's a superstar, do not stand on that. We have to have Joe Judge as the head coach. Be willing to part with him. Daniel Jones, if you can find anybody who will take him on, do that. Saquon Barkley, go ahead and move on from this thing. He needs a new place to play.
Hey, here's the thing. You can't completely wipe the decks with the Giants.
You're
too financially invested.
I understand.
I don't think you have to move on from Daniel Jones. And I'm going to tell you the same thing that I tell every dude when they come to me and go, oh, my wife's driving me crazy. If I was single, I'd just be banging somebody else every night. First of all, no, you wouldn't because you're 4 at best.
Right.
The Giants are a 4 at best. What are you going to replace him with? If you're replacing him with something to the level of Mike Glennon, I'm Seacrest out. If you think you're going to replace him with Tyler Huntley off one good game from Baltimore, I'm Seacrest out. Ride with Daniel Jones. He's still cheap for another year. Now, if you want to decline the option, get back into the lottery in a year, more power to you. But there is not a quarterback out here. You're picking in the top 5, and I am firmly on the belief that the New York Giants should do what the New York Jets did in 2005 when they had 2 picks in the first round. They took DeBrickshaw Ferguson at 4. They took Nick Mangold at 31. That's what you should do. Charles Cross, Tyler Linderbaum is probably my favorite combination, even if it's Evan Neal. Yeah. I don't love Evan Neal, but I think he has a spot starting in this league for a lot of years. I like Charles Cross better as a left tackle. Andrew Thomas has served to be fine at left tackle. But if you wind up with 2 first-round picks like that, the line's good enough, you still have Saquon, there's really no reason to move off of him because you're not going to get anything for him. It doesn't. I mean, you would get a 4. Woo.
Yeah.
On a guy that you took over Josh Allen. Bad call. But you build the line in front of him, then Saquon's a piece. Maybe Saquon can stay healthy. Maybe Kenny Golladay can stay healthy. They have pieces. But you got to get away from this Dave Gettleman bullshit.
Yes, absolutely. Be willing to make changes in your life, and don't feel bad about it.
Nope.
Because sometimes relationships just don't work out. Number 27, the Atlanta Falcons. Reach for the stars, but keep your feet firmly on the ground.
I'm Casey Kasem. This long-distance dedication comes from Arthur to Matt. Dear Matt, it's been fun while it lasted, but I kind of want to strangle you in a tub full of water. You'll do much better in Denver or somewhere else. Love, Arthur Smith.
I don't think you have to move off Matt Ryan, but I think you should. Now, what this means, resist the urge to reach for Malik Willis or anybody basically not named Kenny Pickett, because every quarterback in this class has a ward. This is where teams get into this vicious Cleveland Browns, New York Jets cycle of bullshit, where you wind up just churning quarterbacks because you reach for one, and now you're perpetually trying to fix the mistake. If I'm the Atlanta Falcons, my hope, Sam Howell falls into the beginning of the second round. That would be my hope, because I think he's pro ready to play right now. You can bring him in. If you want to let him sit behind Ryan for a year, more power to you. You don't have to.
Yeah.
But to me, the biggest error in judgment would be taking that top 10 pick and going, oh, we're going to draft Malik Willis at 7. Cool. That's a train wreck waiting to happen.
Right.
Because that kid needs to sit for at least 2 years. Level of competition is too big of a jump.
You could focus on another position. You could possibly, I know you already got draft capital tied up into the line.
I don't care.
But you can go with a lineman. You could go with another receiver. There's so many options that you could do rather than forcing yourself to go after a quarterback when there's not one there.
No, and that's what you're going to do is you're going to reach, and it will be something. You'll be in the same boat you're in with Matt Ryan, where you want it to end, but it can't. This team is another team that's not overly talented. The defense sucks. Build the team, and I'm not saying that you can't take risky picks. I'm not saying you can't take somebody like a Kyle Hamilton out of Notre Dame. It's risky to take a safety in the top 10. That kid's a no-doubter. That kid can be a centerpiece of your defense for many years to come. But you have to understand the fan base ain't going to love it because they want a quarterback. You listen to the fan base too much, eventually you'll be sitting with them.
Yeah. I still feel like they may be stuck with it, Matt Ryan, but you need to have at least an exit plan. I want to see an exit plan. The Chicago Bears are at number 26 in this Week 16 2021 Power Rankings, the last one of the year. New Year's resolution for the Bears: change your sandbox.
I have never heard this line before in my life.
It's a very simple thing that is out there about when you want to make a major change in your life, you want to stop drinking, you want to stop smoking, you want to stop, being a whore. You got to change your sandbox.
I don't know why you would ever want to stop doing that.
You got to stop circulating in the same circles, basically. And this is, you got to change your sandbox. You got to get, Ryan Pace and Matt Nagy have to go.
This is a clean house
you
situation.
You need a culture change. That's what changing your sandbox means. Change your culture, and therefore you can have a better future.
And the thing is that this is going to be a job that somebody is going to see as really alluring if they're really high on Justin Fields. All right, compare this to the Atlanta job's not going to come open, but this is a team we just did. They're in a better situation than the Atlanta Falcons are. But you're going to have a GM head coach pairing instead of one of these stupid arranged marriages because for whatever reason, we're the Bears and we don't fire coaches in season. Change the way you think, too. I mean, add that on there because that's the dumbest shit in the world.
Right. It's an archaic way of thinking. It's an archaic franchise. And guess what? You haven't won a title since the 80s.
Bingo.
Change your sandbox, please. The Carolina Panthers at number 25. Drink your milk and say your prayers.
The old Hulk Hogan.
What you gonna do, brother?
This is a team that's going to be just good enough to not guarantee that they can get the player they need. They need Charles Cross to fall in their lap because Charles Cross is out of Mississippi State is the kid that I fully believe can be a left tackle in this league forever. If you don't have that fall in your lap, you're going to have to settle for someone like Ike Mekwonu, who I like, but he's guard. Stop with the Bulls. I saw him at 2 the other day. Stop that.
Wow.
It's too high. He's very, very good, but he's a piece.
Mm-hmm.
Carolina needs that. Jordan Gross.
Star.
For lack of a better word. They need what they had in Jordan Gross for 1 billion years.
Mm-hmm.
You need that guy that you know that place is cemented. You've got this revolving door of quarterbacks. I got news for you. There's not a better solution out there. All right, Deshaun Watson has no interest in you.
Mm-hmm.
None. And neither does Aaron Rodgers, neither does Russell Wilson. So stop putting these things on Twitter, stop putting them on Insecure Graham, and thinking that, oh, maybe we can convince them. No, the fuck you can't. You're in a small market. None of these guys have an interest in you. You're going to have to home grow the quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
I still firmly believe it can be Sam Darnold if you give the kid some form of stability. He had the best 4-game stretch of any quarterback in Carolina Panthers history to start this year.
Yes.
Then it all came tumbling after because you had too much bullshit happening with Matt Rule and everything else.
Yep.
This team has a lot to build on, but you got to get that line right.
Well, you had a whole lot of injuries, and Sam never had a chance behind that offensive line.
Look, and Sam is like the kid that has never been in a stable home in his life. You see all the talent, but he's just up in the air constantly, learning new systems, having to answer all these bullshit questions. Let him go into a system for a second year, because he's already going to have another offensive coordinator.
Right.
Stability. Stability is key for quarterbacks.
And you're stuck with him. I don't think there's anybody that's going to take him off your hands.
Oh, there'd still be somebody that'd be interested, but it wouldn't be for nearly what you gave the Jets.
I was going to say, for the $18 million that you already signed him
You'd
for?
be surprised.
Okay. Number 24 is the Seattle Seahawks. Know when to move on. At some point, you have to look at a toxic situation and go, this ain't working, and we got to make a change. And that's exactly where Seattle's at. The whole, it was a fun ride while it lasted, but you got to be willing to cut ties with Pete Carroll. You got to be willing to find the right solution for Russell Wilson. Nobody's happy in this scenario.
No, and you're going to get a boatload for Russell Wilson if that's what you decide to do. The thing of this team is that you have drafted so poorly for so long. I've got a ranking that'll be coming out after the season's over as we lead into the draft of the best and worst drafting teams in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
You know where the Seattle Seahawks are?
Got to be in the late 20s?
31.
Really?
There's one team in the NFL that drafts worse than them. I mean, just look how many bad draft picks they've had that have just been unmitigated disasters.
Right.
You need new blood. And I think it goes all the way to John Schneider, personally. I think that's gotten stale. You've been there too long.
Mm-hmm.
You've gotten too comfortable with Pete. There's nothing in this team that tells me it's a Super Bowl contender. Nothing.
No.
Russell Wilson's as good as you're going to be at quarterback. The things around him ain't good enough, and you're paying a quarterback a boatload of money. Now, if you can move off of him, get the draft picks, the New York Giants, I have this funny feeling, are going to empty every coffer they've ever had to make a run at Russell Wilson.
Yes, they will.
If they do that, all in. If you can get 2 top 10 picks from them this year, because they're going to have to.
Mm-hmm.
If you can get both those for Russell Wilson, I'd do it right now. And I know that sounds like I'm underselling it, and there would be other pieces in that. Pigs get fed, hogs get slaughtered. This is a good draft in the top 10. You get 2 building block pieces. What are you going to do at quarterback? Wait.
Yeah.
It's going to be ugly for a year or two. But as long as you got that rookie deal quarterback, you start building this team, maybe you can build it back into a Super Bowl contender in 2 years.
Yeah.
And look, I'm not trying to I've been saying this to Seattle for years. I saw this coming long ago. Russell Wilson could not play any better than he did, and you still were not really a threat to win a Super Bowl. What you think is going to happen is this team ages and he makes more money. It's incredibly predictable.
Did you put Saquon in that deal?
You have, do you do his taxes or something?
No.
You're all about Saquon Barkley. I could give fuck less about a running back.
Really?
Now the Giants, you invested draft capital in him. Any other team, I could care less.
I was going to say that's not a piece that would get you to swing
Hell
that deal.
No.
Okay.
Hell no. Saquon Barkley's worth a 4th round pick right now.
Okay.
That's where he's at. Now the Giants have to value him more than that, but he's not a piece that sways me if I'm Seattle. I want picks. I want my own guys cheap.
Fair enough. Number 23, the Denver Broncos. Their New Year's resolution is to exercise their rights. Exercise your right to bear an arm. Full believer in the Second Amendment. And you know what? You need an arm. That's the one thing this team is missing.
And here's the thing. I said this earlier in the season. I really don't think Teddy Bridgewater could play any better than he has.
I'd agree.
You've seen the best of Teddy. Well, what's that going to get you? Right out of the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
That team with, say, an Aaron Rodgers or a Deshaun Watson would be scary as hell. And it's Aaron Rodgers the one I can't get away from. Now, I think as time goes on, it's more and more likely he stays in Green Bay.
I agree.
But good hell, this team would be terrifying with him. With those weapons, all those guys that because this team's drafted really well. Javonte Williams, home run. I don't love using draft capital on running backs, but a guy like that, he's a difference maker. And you have a lot of those on this team.
And especially where they drafted him. I mean, they did it smart. They took the defensive playmaker with the first pick and then got him at the top of the second round.
I don't ever love giving up draft capital using the picks, one thing, but trading up to do it, I don't love.
Well, you had to because you knew it wasn't going to be
absolutely,
there.
it wasn't getting past the Dolphins, and everybody knew that.
Right. That's why they got up one spot ahead of them.
And you had to do that, and that's no harm, no foul. You got 3 years of him 3 more years of him on a cheap rookie deal. Put a quarterback with him, and this team will be scary.
Yeah.
I think you should do it without Vic Fangio, but that might be just a personal dislike of old, crusty defensive coordinator head coaches.
Right. I do think you need a better, at least if you're going to hold on to him, I don't think you can have Pat Shurmur there as well.
No.
You got to have some kind of innovative offensive mind. Joe Brady.
You beat me to it.
How about a Joe Brady with Aaron Rodgers throwing the ball to Jerry Jeudy and Cortland Sutton and KJ Hamler, and I'm forgetting one of them.
Deshaun Hamilton, Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, Noah Fant, Albert Okwuegbunam, Tim Patrick.
Yeah, Tim Patrick. I think that was the one that I was missing in my head. Absolutely. Denver, get your quarterback. Number 22, the Miami Dolphins hit the ground running. That's the one thing that you need to really focus on, is to make sure that you have a decent running back. We saw Duke Johnson run for 107 yards this past week for the Miami Dolphins.
Against the Jets, so it only nominally counts.
I understand.
But didn't it feel good? Didn't it feel good to watch your team be able to run a greasy peg up a cat's ass? Wasn't that fun for a day?
Now imagine what you can do when you have an actual NFL young threat running back. But is that guy out there?
I'm going to use your little boyfriend that you keep mentioning.
Saquon
Barkley, I'd love him in Miami. I would have loved Aaron Jones. And I think Aaron Jones can be had. Just throwing that out there.
Well, the way they structured that deal,
The deal's very movable, and they're very sold on A.J. Dillon. But Miami with a better running back. Tua, I believe, has turned a corner.
I agree.
I threw dirt on him way too early. And now he looks much better. Now, has the competition been great? No. Do I ever think he's going to be a top 10, top 12 quarterback in the NFL? No.
But can he be close? He could be close.
We do this a lot. 12 is way better than you think it is.
Right. But if you're not telling me at his career arc that he could be
better
what?
Than Kirk Cousins?
No.
There you go. Kirk Cousins is 12 right now.
Yeah.
He can't be that good. However, he can be the high side of the next tier.
Okay.
And with all of the young pieces, look, I know the line's been bad. It's still stupidly talented. This is another team that I really hate that they're going to pick where they're going to, because I loved them taking Tyler Linderbaum. Add the center, tie the line together, the guy making the line calls.
Oh, yeah.
I would have loved that, because there's so much talent on this line. They've drafted five linemen the last 3 years. I've loved every single one of them. But right now it's just a mishmash, because I'll be honest with you, I still don't believe in Brian Flores.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, now you have to keep him around.
I would say so.
I think he caps your ceiling. To me, you're too low on the Dolphins having them here, but I don't love Brian Flores.
Yeah, well, the only reason that the Dolphins are here is because that they are very one-dimensional offensively.
They shouldn't be behind the next team.
And number 21, the Philadelphia Eagles. Philadelphia Eagles, don't settle for good enough. Don't settle for Jalen Hurts.
Don't fall for this, for the love of God.
Just because you've got a chance to make the playoffs, just because you're going to skate by, and it hasn't completely gone in the trash since you made the big blunder of getting rid of Carson Wentz.
I don't know that was a blunder.
I think it was.
I think he had priced himself out of Philadelphia, because this team they're not saints up against it, but they're damn close.
Yeah, but they also put themselves in a bad situation just by bringing Jalen Hurts in. and drafting him where they did.
Agreed. I laughed at it as soon as they did it.
Yes, none of that should have ever been on the table. So I think that was the blunder. I'm not saying getting rid of him was the wrong choice. It's, it might work out, but you still need to find that guy. You still need to find his replacement because you don't have him right now.
I agree, but you're going to have 3 first-round picks. You can really give a great infusion of young talent to this team.
Mm-hmm.
The only problem is if you keep trotting Jalen Hurts out there, your ceiling is about where you're at right now.
Yes.
8-9, 9-8. You're never going to be better than that. He's still a bad thrower of the football. That part's not going to change.
Mm-hmm.
His throwing motion is long. It's forced. It's stunted. Okay, so he can have good games to Dallas go dirt. Woo. Do you really think that's beating this Dallas Cowboy team in this division anytime soon?
Did you not feel a breath of fresh air when Gardner Minshew came in?
That's kind of the point.
Right.
In mullets, we trust.
Mm-hmm.
Mullets for the masses.
When Gardner Minshew came in, you actually had a team that you were scared of in 2 dimensions. You were scared of them running. You were scared of them throwing.
Yep.
Jalen Hurts does not give you that kind of flexibility.
No, he doesn't.
So do not settle.
And that's the thing. With Philadelphia, you've got all of this ability. You can have damn near anybody you want. You got 3 picks that are going to be in the top 24, I would wager. One of them possibly being in the top 10, depending on how it breaks. Infusion of talent. Go get your guy.
Yep.
Go get your guy.
At number 20, it's the Pittsburgh Steelers. Spend less time on social media. This is something that we should all strive to do. But, for the Pittsburgh Steelers, they have had those guys in the last couple of years. First it was Juju.
First it was Antonio Brown.
First it was Antonio Brown. Then it was Juju. Now it's Chase Claypool. Spend less time on social media.
I mean, and this would be something about a quarterback, but we already know that.
Yes.
I mean, the Ben thing is done. The question is, who can you bring in here? And I'm going to level with you. There are 2, and it's in this order, and it's not even close. Kenny Pickett 1, Sam Howell 2. Those, to me, are the 2 quarterbacks that Pittsburgh needs to be just locked into because I think they can be very high-end game managers in this league. Everybody calls Sam Howell a poor man's Baker Mayfield. I think he's a very wealthy man's Baker Mayfield.
Okay.
I think he's what Baker Mayfield was sold to people like me while we were sitting here going, no!
Can they be playoff quarterbacks right away? Because I think that's where Pittsburgh is.
Team. I think this is the right team.
Okay, I was going to say, because I think that's where Pittsburgh finds themselves. Pittsburgh finds themselves to be a team that is still a playoff contender routinely. We don't have time to go through this hand-holding of a rookie. We want somebody that's going to come into this league pretty seamlessly if we're going to go that route. A lot of Steeler fans are all hooked on we can get Aaron to come here.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I would love that. I just don't know if it's a reality. I still maintain I think that's your first call, no doubt.
Right. But
if you strike out on that, Russell Wilson does not really strike me as what you should be doing in Pittsburgh. The Deshaun Watson thing, I'm good if I'm Pittsburgh. Then I'm looking to Kenny Pickett, who's a homegrown talent, played in the same stadium, or Sam Howell. I like them both a lot for Pittsburgh. I think they would be home run selections. This team is really good.
Yes.
The line needs to be dealt with, and they need a quarterback. Because it's not Mason Rudolph, and sure as fuck not Dwayne Haskins.
Number 19, the New Orleans Saints. Get out of debt. They are already killed against the cap.
Oh, yeah, this team is hemorrhaging. I believe. What did I tell you? There's $60 million over the cap for this year.
Yes.
That's
not
tough
for this
to
year. For the coming year.
For the coming year.
Yeah.
That's what I mean
Okay.
this year. The cap doesn't really matter
anymore. Right, anymore. But yeah, they are already over by a large margin. And the Taysom Hill contract, I still can't really wrap my head around.
It's an albatross. He's not an NFL quarterback.
Yeah.
He's Jalen Hurts on steroids. Actually, that's a lie, because he's not as good a thrower of the football as Jalen Hurts is. He's faster Jalen Hurts. That's it. That's all he is. He can be a nice piece. And I think Sean Payton deep down knows that. I think that's why that contract was structured the way it was. Well, we'll pay him this way if he's tight end. We'll pay him this way if he's quarterback. That's kind of like me looking at my wife going, hey, for vacation, we're going to Charleston if I don't hit the lottery, and we're going to Greece if I do.
Yeah.
Okay. It's probably not going to happen because I don't play the stupid fucking lottery.
Right. So we know we're going to Charleston.
Yeah.
We
Which is
know
fine.
Taysom Hill's going to be a tight end.
And that's,
should be.
I think he's fine at that. I think he's a nice weapon. He's somebody that can increase the value of a good thrower of the football, like Jameis Winston. That team was working exactly how it was supposed to. Jameis got hurt, and look what happened. They fell off the world. They just had an aberration game against you where they still couldn't move the ball.
Right.
The defense is good. I just look at Taysom Hill and go, you're not a quarterback.
No. You're not a quarterback at all. You need to get healthy. You need to have, fix whatever problem you have with Michael Thomas, get him back in the building, and get somebody serviceable that can throw him the ball.
I could want to be the prima ballerina. Unfortunately, that's just not who I am. So it is what it is.
But what can they do to get out of debt, really? I mean...
they're going to lose a ton of players.
Yeah.
A ton. Who all they'll be, I have no idea.
Right.
Just depends. Because I'll be honest with you, I'd have never paid Taysom Hill. No shot. And I know they can move money around. They can get out of I understand that. No shot in hell would I have paid him.
Number 18, the Cleveland Browns. How about stay at home less? Because where are you going to find yourself this year?
At home with Baker Mayfield.
At home with Baker Mayfield. If you stay at home less.
But we didn't have any of our players against the Raiders.
So?
Okay.
So what? I don't really care all that much because your season was already lost to me to that point. I've seen a lot of the reactions since that Monday night game of people going, oh, I can't believe that the Cleveland Browns got so close and they blew it again. Yeah, I can.
Yeah, I'm not shocked.
Yeah, we all saw it coming. Baker Mayfield's not the answer for the future of this team.
And I think at this point, anybody that doesn't understand that is just putting their fingers in their ears. Look at yourself for the distant future. You going to be better than New England?
No.
Buffalo?
No.
Cincinnati?
No.
Baltimore?
No.
Pittsburgh?
No.
Tennessee Titans?
No.
Indianapolis Colts?
No.
Kansas City Chiefs?
No.
Los Angeles Chargers?
No.
That puts you at 10 at best. And there are 4 young-ass teams behind you that have franchise quarterbacks, which you don't.
Right.
But we've got Myles Garrett and Jadeveon Clowney.
Yeah, the Kansas City Chiefs had that in the 90s, too. You know what they didn't have? A fucking quarterback. You know where they got? First round of the playoffs or just missed it. And that is exactly how I see this team. You have every ancillary piece you could ever want. But you got a chipmunk driving your car. So why am I shocked that it keeps ending up in the lake?
Right.
I'm not.
No.
And I think anybody that is been disingenuous.
At number 17, it's the Washington football team. And the number one thing you need to do in the new year is establish an identity. And I think this goes, obviously, it goes more beyond just choosing a name, however that would help. But the rest of it, you got to figure out who you are.
This is a very listless team. They have pieces. I think the defense is good. But what do they do really well?
Not a whole lot.
Consistently. Are they consistently good on defense? No.
They tailor.
Do they run the ball consistently well? No.
Right.
Can they do it for a week at a time? Yeah. They have talent. They're not bereft of talent.
They tailor Heineke well. They do that well. I mean, he is the summation of this entire team.
Absolutely.
Sometimes he's good. Sometimes he's not. Sometimes he's just there. And you're never going to win games routinely in the NFL by playing that way. You have to find your identity. You have to decide who it is you're going to be. Is Antonio Gibson your guy? Is J.D. McKissick the number 2?
And I think that part of it's fine.
Do you have to find another piece with Terry McLaurin? Absolutely,
I think you need another receiver. And this is my favorite place for Matt Corral to land. Because I think he can sit behind Taylor Heineke or Ryan Fitzpatrick, however you want to do this. And you can let him grow. Because I think he can play right away, but I don't think he's going to fulfill his potential that way. This is my favorite landing spot for him. It's not really all that close.
Okay.
I like him a lot. I like him a lot as a prospect. I just don't want to see somebody take him in the top 5. Falls to Washington, all of a sudden that could be one of my favorite picks in this draft.
So there are your bottom 16. 32, the Jacksonville Jaguars. 31, the Houston Texans, Detroit Lions, New York Jets, and the New York Giants, all in the bottom 5. The Atlanta Falcons at number 27, Chicago Bears at 26, the Carolina Panthers, Seattle Seahawks, Denver Broncos, Miami Dolphins, all in the bottom 10.
I still maintain you're too low on the Dolphins.
That's fine. They're useless anyway. The Philadelphia Eagles at 21, Pittsburgh Steelers 20, New Orleans Saints have jumped up to number 19, the Cleveland Browns at 18, and the Washington football team at 17. Now we get into the top half of the league. Number 16, it is the Las Vegas Raiders, and their New Year's resolution is to stop trying to win the breakup.
When you break up with a girl, you invariably try to find a hotter girl to make her jealous. Don't do that. The Raiders, I have heard so many names with this Raiders job, and I hate damn near all of them. Take the double. Hire David Shaw. Hire somebody like that. Somebody that can bring leadership and continuity and structure to your program. Mark Davis, for the love of God, don't fall into the same traps that your father fell into time and time and time again.
The Las Vegas Raiders have a good thing going. You have pieces. You have things to build on for the future. You just need to find somebody. And look, nobody's been able to do it. There's not been a Raiders coach who has been able to bring culture and stability to that team since John Madden.
I would argue that there have been a few more in between there, but not for extended periods of time.
Right.
The thing that I would also caution them to do, you can't completely lose it either. You can't just hire Jim Caldwell or some bullshit like that. Mm-hmm. You got to have something that it encourages the fan base, but at the same time, it's the right hire. There's a name, and you know what? You're going to tell me I'm nuts. Jim Harbaugh. David Shaw is the one I've been saying the entire time. So
I wouldn't hate it.
I wouldn't hate it in the least.
I wouldn't hate it at all. I think he needs to be back in the league anyway.
I agree.
And now that he's gotten the Ohio State monkey off his back, let him win a game in the playoff, and then maybe he'll change his tune. Especially, hopefully that doesn't happen for my Georgia Bulldogs, but it very well could. It's going to be hard to bounce back from that whole Alabama thing. Don't play the song. Don't you dare play that song.
I was already looking.
Yeah, I know you were. At number 15, the Minnesota Vikings. Resolution for 2022, be more disciplined. This is the one thing that this team has not had is a steady foundation on which to build. And that's not only because this team is, they're penalty laden, but it's also be disciplined late in the games. Learn how to close out games. And that all comes down to leadership. And
I feel very sure that Mike Zimmer's not going to be back with this team.
Yeah, I don't know. I've thought he needed to be fired for a couple of years, and now maybe it's time. Maybe they see
this team ends
time.
up 8-9, and you had playoff aspirations. Kirk Cousins played this well, and the bad thing is that your fatal flaw is your defense.
Yep.
Head coaches, you cannot be this bad at what it was you were brought in here to do.
Indeed.
And I understand Mike Zimmer's a closer in his dating life. He is not much of a closer in the NFL.
Next up, at number 14, it's the Tennessee Titans. Tennessee Titans need to delegate more in the new year. The reason I pinpointed this was because why are they in the situation they are in right now? Because they ran Derrick Henry to
into
death.
The ground.
Right.
They ran him into the ground.
Right.
And it just completely changes your offense.
Mm-hmm.
And so now you've got, and look, A.J. Brown seems to be a little injury prone. There seem to be issues with him that I don't know that they're ever going to go away.
Mm-hmm.
Mike Vrabel is just, I've called him the Tom Thibodeau of the NFL more than once. You got to stop that shit.
Mm-hmm.
You got to have a back to take some of the workload off Derrick Henry. Your receiving core can't be A.J. Brown, Julio Jones, and 4 dudes you met at the fucking outside of the Asheville Mall.
Right.
Which is what that looks like. Josh Reynolds was the best receiver on that team. He got no run whatsoever. So now you're going with some combination of Nick Westbrook-Akina and just a bunch of dudes.
Mm-hmm.
Mike Vrabel's one of those I look at and go, I think you're smarter than you are.
Yeah.
I think he's a good coach. But I firmly believe he's in that camp of, you think you're smarter than you are, and you've got a little Belichick in you that this is just the way we do things. And blah, blah, blah.
Well, and look where it has taken you. Like, these rankings that you're seeing this week are my rankings. We normally do Jeremy's rankings. These are my rankings this week. And look how far the Tennessee Titans have fallen, and it's all because of the overuse of Derrick Henry. Had you not run him so much, maybe he doesn't get hurt. Maybe it still happens and we just don't know. All I'm saying is you can't continue to run this guy into the ground at 27 years old. Next year, he'll be 28 years old. You can't do it.
Nope.
So delegate more, Tennessee Titans.
This is what I've always said about Tom Brady. Father Time's undefeated. You might beat it. It might beat you at a different time than everybody else, but it's gonna beat you.
Yeah.
And if you run that much wear off a running back, eventually they're gonna break. And Derrick Henry did.
And you're in the position you are in because you put your running back at risk, and that's the position where you're still gonna make the playoffs. But I have zero faith in you winning a playoff game.
Me too.
At number 13, it's the Buffalo Bills. Go ahead.
Nobody circles the wagons like the Buffalo Bills.
A lot of people do this for their New Year's resolutions. Train for a marathon. Look, you've got Josh Allen. You've got the long-term solution at quarterback. You need to be looking at this team as if you are building it for a 10-year dominant run in the AFC East. Train for the marathon. Get the pieces that you need.
To me. This team's got a lot of young pass rushers. They've got a lot of young pieces. To me, they need another year. I jumped the shark on them and was a year early. Losing Tre'Davious White was big. Not being able to run is big.
Yep.
You've got all the pieces in place. Now you got almost all the pieces in place. Now you just need to fill in the other pieces and make the run next year.
Yes.
I think they're still going to make the playoffs, but I'm not overly worried about them. They're a team that could sneak up on somebody. But I can't say I feel good about it going in. Yeah, you got Stephon Diggs that can beat up on he can beat up on any secondary. Now you got Cole Beasley in the protocol. You got some combination of Gabriel Davis and Emmanuel Sanders, and you can't run a greasy peg up a cat's ass.
Yeah, and the Buffalo Bills get into the playoffs. Maybe they're the 7 seed. Who's going to have the number 2 seed? Probably going to be the New England Patriots. You gonna enjoy playing them for a third time? Yeah, I don't know about that.
I don't either. I don't like the chances.
Right, because they beat you in your own house. Now you get to go to their house, and I don't want to play them in the playoffs.
Nope.
Because you're going to be in Foxborough for that one, too.
And it's not going to be pleasant.
At number 12, the Cincinnati Bengals. Finish your dream home. You got a lot of money stored away for the new year. A lot of people can, get your dream kitchen done. All of this is your dream house. You're putting the finishing touches on your dream house. You've got the quarterback. You've got the weapons on offense. Every skill position is absolutely covered. Maybe tight end. You could probably upgrade that.
But Yazama's a nice utility piece.
Right. You get the now you got to do the. This is weird. This is the reverse Detroit Lions. The Detroit Lions are doing this the right way. They're building the house from the foundation up. Now you got to build the foundation. You have to take care of that offensive line.
And you need some things on defense. I mean, but to me, it's just little things. You've got the quarterback. You've got all the weapons you could ever need. It's covering up that I don't think Zach Taylor's a very good coach, but he's good enough to coach this. Hell, I think Pee Wee Herman's a good enough coach to coach this. I mean, this is one of the most talented offenses in the NFL.
Is this a team that even Urban Meyer couldn't tank?
Oh, no. Urban Meyer could fuck it up. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Urban Meyer would stop playing. He'd start playing grind on me during warm-ups, and everybody would just bust out laughing, and then he'd come out throwing Judy kicks.
Yeah. At least he doesn't walk around with his thumb up his own ass. I mean,
factually
he
accurate.
has learned that. He has learned that.
Factually accurate. That is an important thing to learn.
At number 11 in the Week 16 Power Rankings, number 11 is the Los Angeles Chargers. And we're sticking with the home renovations on this one. Fix the leaks.
I misspelled running before you say it. I already know. I saw it. It pissed me off. There was nothing I could do about it by the time I saw it.
You got to fix the running faucet.
You can't run. You don't run well on offense. You don't stop the run on defense. Jordan Davis to them with that early 20s pick, probably my favorite pick in the draft.
Okay.
I don't see a way it doesn't happen because he's going to fall. I told you that when we did the first mock draft.
Yes.
Because he is a 2-down player. For the Chargers, that just doesn't matter. He can be a 2-down player. And he's a huge help to this team. If they start this NFL draft with Jordan Davis with their first-round pick and somebody like Breece Hall with their second-round pick or Kenneth Walker or one of these litany of running backs that can run between the tackles, home run.
Yep.
You already hit a home run last year. You were an A-plus draft grade for me last year, you and the Vikings. Do it again, and there is no telling the heights to which this team can get to.
Yeah.
And Justin Herbert's one. How many young quarterbacks in the NFL would you take over Justin Herbert right now?
Maybe one. Maybe Joe Burrow.
When I'm looking at contracts and everything.
I mean, when I'm looking at the youngest of the young quarterbacks for the future, I want him.
And I'm still probably there with Mahomes and Josh Allen and a couple others. But he's in the top 4 beyond a shadow of a doubt.
You're right. It would be it would be the contracts that would sway me away from those guys. I'm not saying I would take I would take the young guys over those guys. But yeah, young rookie contract guys. It's Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, very, very close race for the next face of the NFL.
That's all you need to know. That team is in great shape.
Yes. Number 10 is the Arizona Cardinals. I know you had them at 1 last week. Losing to the Detroit Lions the way that they did, it mattered a lot to me.
Oh, absolutely. It has to matter. You can't possibly look at that and go, oh, no, it's all just fine.
Right.
Oh, it's all fine. We'll be just... No, it's not fine.
I know there's something to be said for aberration games, but the Cardinals look like they are on a downslide here heading into the playoffs. And they come in at 10 this week. And what do we need to do? What is our New Year's resolution? You have to spend more time for self-reflection. You have to decide who this team is. Kyler Murray, is he a franchise quarterback? Yes. Is he a top-of-the-line franchise quarterback? I believe that remains to be seen.
I dropped my damn mouse.
Oh, good for you.
It's a long way down there. The problem with Kyler Murray is that he doesn't hold up well to interior pressure. And I think teams are figuring that out, and it's starting to show because he's so damn short. Now, the question is, can Cliff Kingsbury scheme around that? We've given him a lot of credit for scheming this offense so well and all the weapons and all the things. Well, now you have to earn your paychecks there, pretty boy.
Yep.
And I'm just not sure he can do it. I'm not sure he can do it. And I look at this team and go, I think we're still a year away. Them and the Bills. They're the 2 teams that I think I was a year early on.
Yeah. Like the Dallas Cowboys from last year? Is that...
Yeah, that'd work. That plays just fine.
The Arizona Cardinals at number 10. Spend more time in self-reflection. At number 9, the San Francisco 49ers.
The San Francisco 4th and Niners.
Oh, what do we need to do? Out with the old and in with the new. You know there's going to be a quarterback change with this team next year. Jimmy Garoppolo had this 1 year, and it's not over. And they can make a run at the Super Bowl. It's an outside chance. It's an outside chance, but I think they can still do it. Now Jimmy Garoppolo gets 2 healthy seasons under his belt, and his only 2 full healthy seasons, he's gone to Super Bowls. There's in every team in the NFL. Every team in the NFL that's not settled at quarterback, they're going to come after you. They're going to call.
Here's the thing. Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be the steak tartare of available quarterbacks. Because we don't know that Aaron Rodgers is going anywhere. Mm-hmm. We don't know that Russell Wilson's going anywhere. Mm-hmm. We know that Jimmy Garoppolo is going somewhere.
Yes.
Do you know how many quarterbacks in the NFL have a better QBR for the year than Jimmy Garoppolo?
3.
9.
9. Okay.
Tua Tagovailoa is one of them, but the others are all elite. Mm-hmm. He's better than Russell, according to QBR. Better than Mac Jones, Kirk Cousins, Russell Wilson, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, Dak Prescott. He's going to be a valuable asset. I think at some point, though, you have to look at the fact of, I don't know that he can win you a Super Bowl. You got the draft capital invested in Trey Lance, and that offense would be terrifying.
Yes.
With Trey Lance's running ability and the motion in the backfield and all the things, you just got to rip the Band-Aid off and do it. Mm-hmm. I know it sucks that you draft a quarterback and you got another one that, I think he has a ceiling. And you very well may be there.
I would agree. At number 8, the Dallas Cowboys. Your New Year's resolution must be better time management. Now, is this all on Mike McCarthy and his time clock decisions late in games and late in halves?
It's dumbfounding to me. He did it again this week. Mm-hmm, 10 seconds to go, get stopped in bounds, you have a timeout, you just let it burn down.
Yep.
No shots at the end zone, no shit. Mm-hmm. That's bad clock management at the end of the day.
Yes.
That's going to bust your ass in the playoffs eventually because you're not better than a lot of these teams. I don't think the Dallas Cowboys right now are better than the LA Rams. I don't think they're better than the Bucs. I don't think they're better than the Packers. I think it's very, very close with the Cardinals and a few others. If you catch those teams and you do dumb shit like this, you can get got.
Yes.
And this team's too talented for that. The defense, yeah, it has some holes. But Trayvon Diggs is having an unbelievable season. Micah Parsons is having one of the best rookie years for a defensive player we've ever seen. And Dak Prescott is who we thought he was.
I think there's also something to be said for, in this better time management category of how you manage this roster and how you manage the time that is left on the big contracts that you have. We all know that Tony Pollard is a better running back today than Ezekiel Elliott.
I think it's very obvious, yes.
How are we going to deal with that? Are we going to turn Ezekiel Elliott into a fullback?
No, that's not how this works. You're going to have to get rid of him.
Yeah.
And nobody is biting on that contract.
Right.
I'm telling you, I will never understand why teams continuously give contracts to running backs. It will almost always bite you in the ass.
In-game and off-season, time management needs to be the key for 2022 for the Dallas Cowboys. At number 7 this week is the Indianapolis Colts with a friggin' bullet. This team is the scariest team. They are the scariest team in the NFL right now for me.
I wanted them higher, to be really honest with you.
Yeah.
Because I think they're better than your Buccaneers. I think they're better than the Ravens. I think they're better than the Patriots, and I think they're better than the Rams.
Really? I can't go that high.
That team does the two things that in December and January are terrifying. They can stop you from running it, and they can run it down your throat.
Yes.
That's just a recipe for postseason success. It has been forever.
Nobody does it better than Jonathan Taylor right now in the NFL, and their New Year's resolution, be more receptive.
You just need another consistent receiver on this team. And look, Michael Pittman, that was a hit. I think Michael Pittman's one of the 15 best receivers in this league.
I don't think he's a 1. I know you do.
I don't see how you don't think he's a 1.
I just don't think he's the star.
You think there's 32 better receivers in the NFL?
I mean, he is the one for his team.
That's where it falls apart.
He shouldn't. He's not going to be the one on a championship team. How about that?
I don't agree with you.
Okay.
Julian Edelman was the one on more than one championship Patriot team. He's better than that. He's a big kid that goes and gets the ball. Who's the number 2 on that team?
T.Y.
He is 7th in receiving yards. Now, granted, he's only played 7 games.
Right.
Who's second in receiving yards?
The Pascal?
It's Zach Pascal, just barely beating Jonathan Taylor, Jack Doyle, Naheem Hines, and Mo Alley Cox.
So he is the 2 receiver.
You cannot win at a high level in this league with that being the case. Now, they have a series of receivers that have all kind of binded together to be a makeshift 2. But in the offseason, you got to have somebody better on that other side. You got to have somebody to take some pressure off of him.
Yep.
That's why he's so inconsistent.
Indianapolis Colts, you need help at the wide receiver position. Other than that, you're pretty solid.
Sad.
You're pretty solid. Number 6 is the Los Angeles Rams. Learn to think deeper. People talk about this. I'm going to do yoga this year. I'm going to get my mind right. No, this is about depth.
I'm going to become a yogi.
Yeah.
I'm going to take a spiritual journey.
No, you just need more players.
Yeah, there needs to be depth on this team.
And I fully believe this team can do it. This is one of the best drafting teams in the league. Later on in the offseason, we're going to do a video of the best drafting teams in the NFL. This one's very, very high. Now, I know Brad Holmes is in Detroit now. You've lost a few other people in the front office. I still believe in this team. You look at guys that they're getting in the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th rounds that are contributors. Problem is you haven't had enough draft picks. You trade ones away for 2 presidential terms, you're going to get thin at some point, and that's where they are. This team's super top-heavy. And so you go through coronavirus things, or we don't know how the game Tuesday night turned out because we're recording this before it. But you do those things, and you get thin. And I think that's a fatal flaw for this team. But if they're deeper, I like Stafford. I like all the pieces. I think this team's very good, but they need some depth.
And by no means is this a team out of the race this year. They are definitely still in it. However, if you're going to make sure that you win a Super Bowl before the Matt Stafford era ends, you need to get deeper.
Your margin for error is just really thin when you're this thin.
Yep.
Everything has to go your way.
Yep. At number 5, the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens, despite not having Lamar Jackson, had Tyler Huntley. They were still able to put the fear of God into the number 1 team, spoiler alert, this week in the power rankings. The Baltimore Ravens, you got to take better care of yourself, man. I know people say that all the time.
Injuries.
You can't blame them for the injuries, but you got to move your what do you like to say?
You got to move the practice facility off that old ancient Indian burial ground.
There you go,
or whatever make a sacrifice to the gods. Whatever the fuck you got to do.
Yeah,
there have not been many teams in my lifetime I have ever seen this hurt.
Yeah.
Weird thing, there are 3 of them this year.
Yeah, to the point where you have 22 guys or something like that on IR.
One of the things I'm going to find the most interesting in this offseason, after seeing that game out of Tyler Huntley, does it bring that number on Lamar down? Because I think it very well could.
I think it will, but I don't think it'll bring it down drastically.
Where does Lamar Jackson fall into you?
In the pantheon of quarterbacks?
No, if you're offering the number, what is it? Knowing that you've seen guys in the 40-ish million range, are you doing that?
I'd say 38.5. I'd go right below it.
I'd sit at 30.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I'd sit at 30 and tell you, look, I got a kid behind you that's cheaper. Is he as proven? No, but he's proven he can do exactly what you do, and I'm not sure he doesn't have better arm than you do.
Mm-hmm.
And look, I'm taking a lot from one game, but I have heard a lot of positive out of Baltimore about this kid, and what I saw was really good. Would I still want Lamar Jackson? Yes. Mm-hmm. But I'm telling you right now, one of these guys is going to have to play somewhere else because there are 2 starters in this league.
I'll be surprised if it's anything less than 35. 35 a year, I think, is.
And you're probably
fair.
right. That's probably I would say it's probably the settlement of Baltimore comes in around about. Because Baltimore would rather you pay you. Would rather you walk out the door a year early than you walk out the door a year late.
Yep.
And Lamar, I'm just telling you, he's going to age like a dairy product.
At number 4 this week, we have the New England Patriots. And the New Year's resolution for them is live a little. What do you mean by that?
You've got the young quarterback on the team-friendly deal because you took him in the middle of the first round. You're going to have to go splurge on a playmaker. Oh, but we did that with Johnny Smith and Hunter Henry. Okay, who's your go-to guy?
Yeah.
All right, when you were down to Indianapolis, who was the guy that could go make you a play? Oh, sweet, you didn't have one. You need that guy. I don't care who it is. I don't think you're going to be able to draft him. Mm-hmm. This is one of those times that Bill's going to have to live a little.
You got to try to go get Devontae Adams or something?
I don't know what it would be, to be honest with you. Devontae, I don't hate that one.
Yeah.
But he needs that playmaker. Mac Jones is still, at the end of the day, as good a game manager as you'll ever see in this league. But that's all that he is. So if you keep trotting him out there with Kendrick Bourne and guys like that, and he gets behind, he's still going to be in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Because his ceiling is just not that high. That's not a slight at him. They're going to end up being the 2 or the 3 seed in the AFC with that being the case. Problem is, I think you're going to get in the playoffs, and if you get behind, you're fucked.
So after we already saw Bill Belichick and that front office spend in this past offseason, you want him to do it again.
Yeah, because, I'm going to be honest with you. Mac Jones will be one of the greatest case studies you've ever seen. I know we're 4 years from that, 3 full years before it starts becoming a narrative.
Right.
I cannot wait to see what the number on him is. If he comes in at $40 million, you can go fly a fucking kite in a thunderstorm.
Because he ain't worth that.
No, he's just not. He's a good quarterback. He's a good game manager, but you got to put the pieces around him.
Yep. At number 3, it's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Jeremy, go ahead. Say it.
Fire them cannons, by golly, put more batter in those things.
He told me I was drunk because I still had them this high.
You are drunk. You can't look at that team the way they sit right now, as listless as they were offensively, and go, oh, yeah, I feel great. The back end of your defense is terrifying to me.
Mm-hmm.
And so their New Year's resolution, enjoy every moment like it's your last.
Yep.
I couldn't fit this part on the screen because it very fucking well may be.
Yep. Enjoy it while it lasts. We knew this was going to be a short little stint with Tom Brady. You got the Super Bowl out of the way in the first year, and you know, as they like to say, you're not given tomorrow. We don't know that that's a guarantee. And that's exactly where the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are living right now. I mean, Chris Godwin just goes down with the torn ACL. He's not coming back.
No.
He's gone.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
He's gone. He's not. They're not re-signing him. He's not going to franchise tag again or any of that. He's gone.
when you do this financial cup game, eventually you're going to lose people like that. So, yeah, you've seen Chris Godwin play his last game in a Buccaneers jersey.
Which hurts.
I mean, unless he just has to take a one-year prove-it deal, which I don't look to be the case.
No.
It could be, but I don't look for it.
I mean, he was, like second best slot receiver in the league this year? I don't think
and he's a very shifty guy. I mean, there will be some teams that just go, no, we're not going to screw that until we see it.
I think somebody's going to give him stupid money.
I don't. But I think it's more than Tampa Bay can give him.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you got to enjoy this ride because I'm telling you, everybody says, oh, you're just a Brady hater. No, eventually Tom could look around and go, well, this ain't nearly as fun when I don't have my full allotment of toys.
Right. This ride is going to end very, very soon. It could be this offseason. It could be next offseason. But I think we're guaranteed one or the other.
I would agree.
So enjoy every moment like it's your last. The Kansas City Chiefs are number 2. Run more for fun.
I like Derek Gore a lot. I understand that he couldn't block me in a dress, and I understand he's not a great pass catcher. You're going to have to do something to fix the fuck-up that was Clyde Edwards-Helaire. You remember when Kansas City drafted him, and I went, that might be the dumbest draft pick I've ever seen?
Yes.
You've seen 2 years of, hey, that fat guy kind of knows what he's talking about. First of all, don't use first-round picks on running backs. Second of all, bet you wish you drafted Jonathan Taylor now, because that's what I told you. You bypass 2 much better running backs because you think you're smarter than everybody. Oh, but he's the pass-catching guy. Fuck that. I don't need him to be the pass-catching guy because exactly what has happened to Kansas City will happen to you. Is now you have this reliance on Pat Mahomes, and he starts throwing these weird arm angles and starts turning the ball over. What the fuck are you going to do? You got this little bowling ball that's not good between the tackles. All he can do is catch passes. That's team building 101. I, to this day, cannot figure out how Andy Reid got duped by that. I have not been that confident that a running back was wrong in a long time.
Yep. And you were right. You were right. He's not the guy going forward. And could you imagine how dangerous this team would be if they had Jonathan Taylor?
Oh, God. They'd be unbeatable.
Right.
Because then you can't drop safeties. You got to keep somebody in the box or he's just going to run all over you.
You made the wrong call on that one. I know you fell in love with him on draft night, but you got to get another one.
That's adorable. All you got to do, at Jay Greene ESPN, I will come run your draft room, and we'll be hunky-spunky.
There you go.
Quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, tight ends. All that defensive shit, let somebody else do that.
And at number 1 in Week 16's power rankings, it's the Green Bay Packers. The team that just doesn't look like it's got the big weakness that is going to hurt them when it comes crunch time in the playoffs.
Special teams, but...
Yeah, it can be. But like we said...
You don't have a big roster deficiency like so many other teams do.
Exactly. And their 2022 New Year's resolution should be mend your fences. Don't ever go to bed angry. Mend those fences. Because you need this to stay. The Green Bay Packers are not going to be at the top of any NFL power ranking if you have to turn this team over to Jordan Love.
Bingo.
Aaron Rodgers, you need to figure out how to make that work. Satiate him in whatever way possible. If you got to give him another weapon, I don't care. Aaron Rodgers has to stay in town for your team to stay relevant, or else we're going right back to the Todd Marinovich days. Or no, what was his name? That wasn't his name.
I was about to say Todd Marinovich played for the Raiders.
No, it wasn't Marinovich. They had another one that was...
Oh, you're talking about the big lineman. Oh, shit.
Mandarich. Tony Mandarich. Yeah. That was it.
I was about to say Todd Marinovich played for the Raiders.
Marinovich.
Yeah, he had some
predilections. Yeah, before the Brett Favre days. That's what you're going back to.
That or enjoy every minute like it's your last, just like we said about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yep.
Because you got 2 choices. You're either going to mend the fences or this is the last ride. Totally up to you.
Yep. And there it is. Those are your Week 16 power rankings. The Green Bay Packers sit atop the league. As I said, they're the team that I would bet my house on today if I had to win the Super Bowl. Week 16's in the books. We will not have a Week 17 power rankings for you next week, as we're going to take the week off next week, but we will have one to wrap everything up the following week. Enjoy your holidays, ladies and gentlemen. Don't forget to join us this afternoon on ESPN Asheville, 92.9 FM, 880 AM, and 1400, the Sportsocracy PM, heard everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. We'll see you then.